much for attending. This is Activist 101 with David Romero. I am David Romero. I traveled from Southern California to join you all today. I'm very, very glad to do so. So yeah, I'm going to go over a little bit about my background as we lead into the activism. But first of all, I am a spoken word artist. I perform poetry. I've performed at over 75 colleges and universities in 29 different states in the U.S. And yeah, so I share things like this. People say they are tired of hearing talk of revolution with no solutions. They are tired of hearing about the problems of the country, of the community, of the world. You know what I say? You can go fuck yourselves. I am sorry to inconvenience you by asking you to cry over injustice, to cry out for justice, to think of what you might do to make a difference for starters. Collectivization, cooperation, mass movements, you petition, urban garden, collect food in banks, recycle, bicycle. Let's take this struggle to critical mass in spoken words, the written word. Speak, teach, preach, break bars, set caged birds free, spray paint walls with images of closed fists and open arms, embrace the people around you, protest, chant, sing, dance for a better tomorrow, burn money, it's not real, people are real, pain is real, joy is real, feel pain, feel joy, take up a noble cause, change laws, make laws, fight for the well-being of all, occupy the homes of foreclosed families so they can stay warm throughout the cold, boycott what you don't believe in, support what you do, erase borders drawn on maps, they are make-believe, erase borders drawn on maps, we are one people, no one is illegal, contrary to popular belief, factories and fields could produce plenty. We live in a beautiful world, a world of plenty, where everyone has the right to be sheltered, to be treated, to be educated, to be free, to be loved. This is your birthright. This is our birthright as human beings. If you are not sure if you are still a human being, feel your chest beat, beat, beat. There in our thoughts and our actions, these are the contents of our revolution. Revolution is the solutions. Make revolution. All right, thank you. That's really fun. All right, so let's start off this way. Okay, so who here considers themselves an activist already? Yes. Okay, great. All right. Excellent. Okay, so let's go over what are some of the problems that activism can be used to address. Let's show of hands, let's see, or shout them out, let's see. Issues, poverty, excellent. Can organize around poverty. Ending homelessness, sheltering people, fighting against foreclosures. There could be more traditional charity-based work to everything to more progressive or radical solutions. Other issues, come on.
Food deserts.
What's that?
Food deserts?
Food desert, what is that actually?
It's like an area that doesn't have access to locally grown food. Basically, it's just like processed food, and there's not really a sustainable market or market grocery store to access that food.
Excellent. So making sure healthy options are available to people. Awesome. Environmental justice is something that intersects with that. What else? Something shouting. Racial profiling. Excellent. Yeah, combat that, whether on campus or in the local community.
Families that are still being separated from each other.
Yes, so national news, big thing. Yes. Heterosexism, patriarchy. Excellent. Yeah. Xenophobia. Yes. Excellent. All right. So there's a list. All right. So let me tell a story. During my high school years, I was very non-politically involved. And the story of how I became an activist is I attended the University of Southern California, and I was studying film and philosophy. So one of my classes was a movie theater, and I was sitting in this room when a man was speaking up there. And it wasn't this man, it was this man. His name was Marvin Vargas, and he was the ex-president of the Student Coalition Against Labor Exploitation, which was our local chapter of USAST, United Students Against Sweatshops. And he was standing up there and he was talking about this organization that had existed on campus but had since become defunct, that had organized for union rights of the subcontracted workers on campus, making sure that they didn't have forced overtime, that they had all the bathroom breaks, paid days off, sick leave, all of those things. And he also talked about how our university's apparel was being produced in sweatshop conditions. So this is people being locked in, oftentimes being actual slaves, trafficked through that system, being exposed to toxic chemicals, being the victims of fires. So there are any number of things involved in that. So I was at a point in my life where I was finally ready to hear about these issues and to get more involved. But truth be told, I did not contact Mr. Vargas for 2 weeks. But when I finally did, I got a very enthusiastic response. He said, please, let's meet. So we met. I met with him and another graduate student who had been part of the previously defunct organization. And they said, fantastic, you are now the president of the Student Coalition Against Labor Exploitation. So I was very much hoping to join in with something that was already running so people could, show me the ropes and all of that, but I was thrown in. But over time, I learned how to articulate the issue. I learned how to talk to people about it. I learned how to counter debates, how to strategize rallies, meetings, and all of these different things. And this was our big launch event. It was a protest. We hijacked a float, a birthday float, that had been for the school's 125th anniversary. We rescued it from the dumpster, pushed it in front, and we turned it into our platform for our campaign. And it was a great day. All right. After my time with Scale, I went into another student organization, MECHA, which is an organization that is focused on Latinx issues, especially issues that affect the Chicanx population. All right. Immediately after I graduated from college, I joined a canvassing organization that serviced a grouping of homeless shelters. So, has anyone here canvassed before? Yes. All right. Is canvassing fun?
Can be.
It can be. Please, share some.
So I was a canvasser for Wisconsin Citizen Action for a couple of years, and I ended up being the field manager for one of the regional offices, and it's a lot, especially when you're working on campaigns that are that can be a difficult sell in some neighborhoods. You can feel like you're getting your butt kicked at every door.
Right. So it's a very difficult thing to deal with, having to argue with people or encountering outright opposition to just general apathy. There have been a couple of times I was, almost bit by dogs. Birds attacked me once. It was the weirdest thing. I actually made eye contact with the bird as it came. It was very strange. So yeah, so that is an experience. Canvassing is very often done in political work, and you're gathering signatures, you're fundraising for your campaign to get that going. It could be a local piece of legislation, or yeah, just fundraising for your organization in general. After that, I joined another group, which was part of the Student Purgs. This is a national organization, part of the Public Interest Network. I joined CalPERG, and that was focused on homelessness, textbook affordability, financial aid, environmental concerns are a huge part of that. A lot of voter registration as well. So yeah, just further experience in those fields. So nowadays what I do largely is I perform my poetry and I share workshops. So I have workshops focused on police brutality, on activism, states of how people of color will become the majority in aggregate in 2044 or earlier. So yeah, and also cultural appropriation is another popular workshop. So the methodology that we'll be going over with you today for organizing is all based out of this book, Rules for Radicals. And honestly, I've never read this book, but I've read the work of a lot of people who have. Saul Alinsky was a very influential organizer, and his work has been permuted or has been spread through many other activists, such as Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, and a number of others. All right, so he has this quote: "Power goes to two poles, those who have the money and those who have the people." So grassroots organizing, activism, is the art of mobilizing the people with limited resources. All right, so this is what I identify. These 10 things are what we're going to do today. So the first step to organizing is identifying your cause and setting a goal. All right, so identifying the cause, I mean, first of all, and this is even something if you have an organization that has a general purpose in social justice, continually redefining or defining what your cause is very important. Now, causes are indeterminate, so such as worker rights, right? But a goal has to do with a piece of legislation, a policy on campus, raising a certain amount of money, whatever it might be. So that's something that's really important to keep in mind. So yeah, goals are definite, therefore they can be achieved. And goals are also best when put into numbers. We'll go over that later. All right, so yeah, so goal applies to recruitment, defense of policy under attack, creation of new policy, or raising money. Recruitment. All right, so there are two forms of recruitment. There is organic recruitment and active recruitment. So organic recruitment is all based around your personal networks, your friends, your family, your coworkers, people who are already in some of the same groups that you're in. So who here was recruited into a group organically? Okay, oh wow, okay. Let's see here. Yeah, let's just hear some. Who, yeah. Excuse me, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, I'm part of a group called UW-Stout, which was just basically a group of like friends that came together to plan the Peace March for this campus.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, so we all knew each other, so that was organic.
How did you all know each other before?
Well, we've been friends like ever since basically freshman year of college, and so just through student boards and stuff.
Nice, nice. Anyone else share their story of no. Oh, you get shy. Yes.
In high school, I was friends with a couple people and they were all for like the straight line. They were
Nice.
kind of like, oh, it's really fun. And I eventually ended up leaving.
Awesome. Awesome. So yes. All right. So yeah. So why is organic recruitment so easy? What are the benefits of it? Let's see here. Yes.
I think just like you know of the person, so like you can listen to this track like talk to you get understanding of why you also like it from that issue. So you can like, hey, like read this or like this is why I see it, and then they can like, okay, maybe I interested in it too. So they will like come and go with the cause.
Yes. Awesome. Absolutely. Yes.
I think also because there's already a level of trust between people, and I think building the relationships is really important.
Yes.
And the people that you're close with, you tend to have like similar interests in what they do, so when you share the similar interests, then you're for sure that they can like help you like build a support system and support each other's causes.
Yes.
And that's a good name agenda with the people that you trust in your circle either, so they have your best interest at heart too.
That's. I never even thought about that one. That one's really good. Yeah.
Well, I think with that level of trust, the person you're talking to is more likely to actually listen to you because they don't automatically have their defenses up, and if they start to put them up, they'll be like, well, okay, this is my friend, I should at least hear them out.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's intimacy and there's a compassion aspect to it as well. It's like if you know your friend and something's passionate about them and it affects them directly and might not affect you, you're more likely to do something rather than a stranger.
Perfect. Perfect. Yes. Wow.
To take the pressure off, if you know someone who's already in that public, like, oh, I'm not gonna show up, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that reassurance too. And then even on the most bare bones technical level, one of the big things is that your avenues of communication are already open. So you most likely already have that person's email, phone number, whatever ways of contact, their schedule, where to meet up with them, or you might even be roommates or, have classes together, whatever it is. So you already have those avenues of communication established. You don't have to establish them. But let's go over, so what are some of the disadvantages of being in a group that is only organic? Yeah.
Because most of the time you'll have like receiving views, so like no one is like opposing your views, so you can't really defend your views and why you are doing so. Because so if someone isn't opposing it, like you won't be able to like really come up with statements that's like this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So it'd be a lot too comfortable.
It can become an echo chamber. You're not developing arguments, like you said. You're also, I lost my train of thought. Yes.
The group could have a preconception of your belief system, and you might not want to challenge that belief system that they have for you, so you feel pressure to conform to what they believe.
Wow, that's another really good one.
It can be hard to grow. Like if you know someone but they're not your friends, then it's like, oh, we don't know you, so it's kind of like introducing them.
Absolutely. So that's 100%. That's one of the biggest things is that a group that is primarily organic is going to alienate any strangers from. And so what happens very often with the group that is only organic is that once those students graduate, the organization dies. And which, I see some heads nodding over here. It's always worrisome, right? Because in what I'm going to be going over with active recruitment, it's going to sound very pitchy. It's going to sound very like going out and, you got to really work hard and really get these, people to join the organization. And a lot of people don't like that. because it does have that alienating aspect to it. But the unfortunate thing is that yes, that aspect of graduation, and the important thing is really, if our organization and the cause that it fights for is important, then we need to make sure that it endures past the time that we are in it. We have to make sure that it has a legacy that will thrive and continue after we and our friends are gone. So how about, who was recruited by a stranger to join an organization?
Well, we're caused by a friend, but now didn't technically get into a stranger did it. So it was a bullying thing here, just like just signing up to like say I would pledge to go for this like season, basically. So she came up to me and said, "Do you want like help with this like organization?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can do so."
Nice. So that was out in.
It was in here, in Anderson.
Oh, excellent.
I'm a citizen.
Ah, yes. Okay, great. So did they have a table by any chance?
No.
A clipboard?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So they were standing. So they were canvassing essentially, very similar to tabling. Do people table here? Really? Yeah. Okay. So so very similar phenomenon. Great. That is going to be. Oh, all right. Yes. So in thinking about active recruitment, what's really important is you have to realize it's a process of each member teaching the next member to become a leader. Each person has to take on that responsibility. Its advantages are that it has no limit in size, and it has that aspect of longevity. And your methods of active recruitment are tabling, canvassing, making announcements, so class announcements, calling. The popularity of this one has drastically gone down over the years, but it is still somewhat effective. And having events. Events are draws for recruitment. So here's a good one. So a lot of times a fallback will be using flyers. I really love this quote by Mitch Hedberg. When someone hands you a flyer, it's like they're saying, "Here, you throw this away." All right. So in making classroom announcements, what you'll want to do is you'll want to send an email to professors. This could also be other clubs on campus. Send them an email, phone call, ask them. You could even do. Back in my student perk days, we would have guerrilla announcements. So we would just find a class, the biggest class on campus that we could find that was about to start, and come in 5 minutes before, ask the professor, "Hey, can we make an announcement? It's for such and such club. We'll take 5 minutes. We'll write our contact info on the board, and we'll be out." And it was amazing how effective that could be. How many times we could reach thousands of people within a short period of time that would at least be cognizant of our message. So you're casting a wide net, but in that way you have the ability to draw. So what you always want to do is you always want to announce your contact info, leave it on the board or the projector. You can pass flyers out. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to demonstrate in my own. Unfortunately, activism also taught me how to market. So these are flyers in one hand, and these are sheets. So the flyers are passive, and the sheets are active. The difference being is that the flyer only has my contact info. The sheet is where I'm looking to collect yours, right? So, writing my information on the board, passive, the sheets, active, to demonstrate that difference. All right. So how do you make an announcement? Well, you introduce yourself, you introduce your group, tell the story of how you got involved. That's very important. People want to hear that story. They want that connection. They want that excitement, that embarrassment, that whatever it is, that passion that you have for the issue. You want to talk about the events that you're planning for the year, because people like the idea of momentum. It's very, very important that people have a sense that your group is going somewhere, that your group is doing things and getting things done, and that you have goals. And you always want to leave off with, if that's something you're interested in, please leave your information on these sign-up sheets and thank them. Has anyone here ever done a class announcement? Yes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and have you volunteer to show us how it's done.
Okay. Is it any organization that can promote?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, hi everyone. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Jasmine. I'm here today speaking for UW-Stout. It's kind of an organization that we started here with me and my friends. The organization is basically kind of trying to bring together. We're doing a peace march, February 22nd, just to bring together all marginalized communities, LGBT, minority students, disabled, everyone like that. So peace march already happened, but we have other events coming up soon. We're planning on them. Oh yeah, Dice is tomorrow. So if you guys are interested in coming, Saturday. It's Saturday. So if you guys are interested in that, yeah. 8 a.m., 8 to 5, that'll be there. So if you guys are interested, my contact.
That, and how can we find your group, actually?
Facebook and Instagram.
Yes. Awesome. A round of applause. That was brilliant. So what I really liked about that specifically was, yes, the passion, the excitement, setting the assist in the event. So a concrete date, a concrete event, the importance of it, the idea of it being a collaborative event, a coalition-based event, being important to a number of different communities, and yeah, there was real excitement there. Awesome. And so that's what you want to do. So now on to ongoing recruitment and leadership development. So ongoing recruitment is basically the principle of building a climate of friendship, even among strangers. So that's hanging out together, going out to eat, study sessions, all of these things are really important. You want to build that same atmosphere of trust, of support and solidarity amongst your group, even if you are people who have been pulled together from disparate corners. And yeah, my last bullet point is please do not engage in activism. That was something that was going on where people were using activism as their forum to get laid, and in establishing harmful dynamics, power dynamics within the group. Yeah, we're people and things happen, but yeah, just watch out for all of those kinds of things. In terms of power dynamics in a group and sexuality. All right. So the principle of leadership development is really looking at each recruit as a potential. You want to look at them as if they are the next president of your organization. They are the one who's going to spearhead it moving forward. You do that by encouraging them to recruit, by being active in the events, by having responsibilities, and you build up. You build from small things such as, hey, maybe you could bring a friend, or we need these supplies, we need some markers, you know. So if the person brings the markers, that means that they are also at the event, right? So you gain attendance as well as building that chain of responsibility, that chain of leadership. And yeah, that's a big one at the end. Each time you ask a recruit to do something, make sure an older member goes with them to help and encourage them. And that's especially true for stressful activity or potentially stressful activities like tabling, class announcements, you know, can be very difficult. And especially meetings with any campaign targets. A new recruit in the face of a campaign target is going to be completely lost. So yeah. Also media, you're gonna want a senior member. So yeah, I refer to this idea of the buddy system, which is something that you don't often find in activist-based organizations. More and more of them are including it nowadays. But what organizations on campus or on campuses traditionally use the buddy system? What organizations have this built into their very framework? Greek life, yes. So they have it built in, the lil, the big, they have different names for it. And what this is building into this idea of leadership development. They want to initiate each member and slowly progress them up the scales into more advanced knowledge in the organization and how to accomplish certain goals. And what this does is it helps to build that longevity. That's why Greek life organizations have existed for so many years. All right, so delegate responsibilities, already went over that. Coalition building. So after all of this talk about the importance of recruitment, for an activist-minded organization, it's not necessarily that important to have a large organization. In terms of achieving a goal, what could potentially be a short-term goal, as long as you have an effective coalition, if you have that ability to mobilize a network of students, a network of community members at a certain time, this could be just as effective as having many members in your organization. And so how you build your coalitions is that you attend the meetings of other groups, you get to know their members, maybe you could be a member of many different groups. Sometimes you end up spreading yourself very thin doing that. I've done that, and definitely my grades suffered. But yeah, it's definitely an effective way of building the coalition. All right, it's talking about the media, how to use media. So one of my favorite activist-minded movies that demonstrates the effect of the media and how it can be used as a tool in organizing is the movie Walkout, about the Chicano walkouts of the 1960s. These were in protest of the Vietnam War, and protest of some of the conditions in the schools, that there would be a shortage of textbooks, dilapidated classrooms, things of that nature. And so in that movie, there is a large walkout, the first walkout, student walkout, and the student says, "It was so great." And Sal Castro, the teacher with a history of organizing, he asks, "Did you get the media to come?" Student, "No." Sal Castro, "It didn't happen. It didn't happen." So why would he say that? So obviously it did, yeah.
It's kind of like if a tree falls in the woods, does anyone hear it? And I don't know, does it make noise. So like if nobody knows that it happened, did it really happen?
Exactly. So the role of the media is in documenting things to history, and also exposing events to a much larger group than what was present at the time. So it is that person hearing the sound of the tree falling in the forest. So what media can do is that it builds credibility for your group, it can sway public opinion, and it can reach your campaign target even when they refuse to meet with you. So this is really important. Very often when you're trying to change policy on campus, you have to convince someone, an administrator, to do that, or to help you in that goal. But sometimes they won't want to meet with you because it's going to take time, it's going to take money, it's going to cause difficulties for them or for other administrators. So effectively using the media is a way to circumvent that block. So a great film that shows this, two great examples, Selma and Cesar Chavez, both show how key decision makers, in one case being the leader of a growers association played by John Malkovich, refuses to meet with Michael Pena, who's playing Cesar Chavez, and in Selma, Lyndon B. Johnson refusing to meet with MLK, and both use the media. It is a way for other people who are watching, who are reading the news, or reading the newspaper, watching the news, to see what's going on, who weren't previously aware. But it is bringing awareness to it. It is swaying public opinion towards the issue. All right. So how do you get the press to come to an event? Well, one way is to write a press advisory or a release. The advisory is before, the release is during and after, and it is never too late to get press. You can send it well in advance of your event, you can go in during your event, or you can go after. And you want to make their job easy for them. They are more likely to cover your event if you have already done their job for them. So this could be pictures, contact info, and explaining what is going on, who, and such. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. Press conferences. All right, so very often when I think of a press conference, I think of something very official, very formal, something incredible like this. But you could have a press conference that looks like this. What do you need for a press conference? Well, you need a speaker, you need someone personally affected by the issue, you need an expert, and your supporters. And the advantage that the president, for example, when the president has a press conference, is that they have the official seal of the White House, behind them, right? So that lends credibility, that immediately conveys, has impact, right? But a lot of the time, if you were to have a press conference, you might be tempted to have your supporters in the audience, in the galley, right? Down there. But what you actually want to do is have them standing behind. And that conveys the idea of support. That conveys, that there are people standing with you, literally and figuratively. All right. Campus relations. So during my time at a campus, UC Riverside, with the student perks, the previous campus organizer had managed to get our organization an office in student government. And the great thing about this was that I was able to meet many of the many members. I was able to build a rapport with them, and soon I quickly learned how to lobby, how to trade favors, how to, okay, if we get our members to go to this, maybe you'll support us in that, and so on and so forth. So that question is redundant. I gave you the answer. Okay. So yeah, campus relations is basically the act of lobbying. And that is that idea of scratching backs. That is that idea of non-confrontationally engaging with administrators, student government, other professors, other people to draw into your network, or decision makers. Oh yeah, and they're also, they're going to give you access to resources. A lot of times you won't know what is available to you until you ask, until you start going into that. Okay, so I've been talking about a lot about campaign targeting without really explaining what it is. But yeah, campaign targeting is the idea that very often the success of your campaign will rely upon one person. And that one person is the person whose mind you have to change. Or it could be a board of trustees, so a number of persons, but still, it is a specific number of people that you have to convince. And you can use other people to help change their mind, but ultimately they are the decision maker. So targeting is finding out who that person is. So in the case of boycotts and divestment campaigns, the target is a business or a CEO, shareholders, and on a campus it is a president, trustees, dean of a certain department, so on and so forth. All right. So two forms of targeting: lobbyist targeting or direct targeting. So lobbying is that friendly way, that give and take, that please will you do this, or are you already aligned to this cause or this goal? And then direct targeting is knowing that they are opposed. Direct targeting is knowing that they do not want to enact that policy. So we're going to go over some examples here. So this is a poster created during the civil rights movement. So let's go over what is the cause. So cause is indeterminate, remember. So what is the cause? Okay, so we're close. So that is a tactic. So the boycott is the tactic. What is the cause? Remember, causes are indeterminate ideas. Yes. Ending segregation, civil rights. Yes. Awesome. So that is the cause. Who is leading the campaign? The Jackson movement. Perfect. All right. What is the goal? Equality. All right. So to be able to open up those stores on Capitol Street to African Americans. Who is the campaign target? So those are the recruits and the coalition members, but who is the target?
Places of business.
The places of business, right? So Capitol Street businesses. Awesome. And the tactics, boycotting. All right. What is the cause? Once again, we have worker rights. Who is leading the campaign? the UFW, the United Farm Workers Movement. What is the goal? It is to establish better working conditions for the grape pickers. Who is the campaign target? The companies that own the grape fields. What are the tactics? It's right there, boycott. All right. So here's a challenging one. This one is pretty difficult to ascertain. Who could hazard a guess as to what is the cause? All right, so the cause in this one is actually worker rights. And we have it here, it's small, T-Mobile workers.